Hello, welcome to another video by Rick Miracle. Today is March 7th, Monday. Last Friday, 4 days ago, I had to take a trip to deliver a U-Haul trailer and a vehicle to some people who moved from North Carolina, Asheville, to Kansas City. So as usual, when I take a trip, I pay attention to my surroundings. And I gotta tell you, things are going on in the United States that are just a little bit interesting, concerning. So I left on Friday. I drove from Asheville through the mountains, Highway 40, to Knoxville, Tennessee, till Nashville, Tennessee, turned north to Kentucky, went through Fort Campbell, the interstate system, and then entered Illinois, drove up there many hours to St. Louis, and then took a left and drove to across Missouri to Kansas City. And I delivered the U-Haul trailer and the truck. Some customers of mine, elderly people who had to relocate from Asheville, North Carolina, in the mountains, to their home state as they were getting quite old and ill and wanted to go back home before their time was up on this planet. I was helping them. So anyways, it was interesting. And then after I did deliver the U-Haul trailer and the truck, they dropped me off at the Amtrak station in Kansas City, Missouri. And then I took an Amtrak 5 hours to St. Louis, trying to make my way back home to Asheville, North Carolina. And it was, again, a lot of interesting stuff. I have the video. I'm going to play it. A lot of sky spraying going on. You can see me videoing it from the train. I'm not going to add any narration. You can just go for the ride. I noticed a lot of dilapidated buildings, a lot of residential areas that were in dire straits. I asked a little bit, when I went everywhere, asked questions, how is the economy, how are things doing? But seeing is believing. So when you look at the videos, look at the buildings, look at the houses. Then when I got to St. Louis, it got even crazier. Remember, Illinois, Chicago is in Illinois, right? And St. Louis is a huge city. And I wound up on the transit system because I actually got stranded. They didn't have a bus out of there for 2 days. You can't get a plane on the spot. And renting the car, had to go to the airport. You couldn't get anybody on the phone. Just very mysterious. I felt like I was lost. So while on the transit system, I felt like I was in a police state, right out of a movie. Mad Max or Hunger Games. The loudspeakers, they kept repeatedly saying, do not drink anything on the transit system. Do not eat anything on the transit system. Do not throw any garbage on the transit system. Do not be loitering on the transit system. You will be summoned and you will be thrown off the transit system. And it was just really weird. I thought, man, what do these people think we are? Animals? So I did finally make it to the rental car facility after I ran into this kind girl, black girl, probably about 25, 26, and she said, I'll show you how to get a car. And she took me through a maze through the airport down below, and finally I made it to the rent-a-car area, and that wound up being a fiasco. It's not easy. I don't care if you have money. You have to make reservations, and if you show up on the spot, it's almost like an interrogation. They turned me down 3 times. and my wireless on my cell phone wasn't working for some strange reason. The broadband wasn't working for some strange reason. I had to go out in the parking lot, play with the phone to finally get on there and verify with my bank account that the money was there. Finally, the guy gave me the car, and then I drove back from St. Louis down through Illinois, and I was so happy to be out of that state. I felt it was... St. Louis gave me the creeps. The police state. And the economic conditions from Kansas City, Missouri to St. Louis, I could see it all around me. The buildings, old houses, nothing was, I didn't see a lot going on. And sky spraying, everywhere I went, tons of sky spraying in the sky. So then I made it into Kentucky, and going down through the interstate system, past Fort Campbell. Many years ago, I was in the Army. I was at Fort Campbell. And I did stop for gas, and took a little video of the sky spraying. And then I couldn't wait to get to Tennessee, Nashville. Thought I would be getting closer to home. The sky spraying was off the chart. The whole sky was just completely painted with this spray stuff. And when the sun was coming out, it made the whole thing glow. You couldn't hardly see. So I was making my way on Highway 40 to Knoxville. And I was kind of in a rush because when I rented the car, the guy says, if you don't get to Asheville and turn it in by 4 o'clock, Sears, where they rent the car, is closing, and we're going to have to charge you for 2 days. It was like almost $300 for a day, one car. And so I was in kind of pushed for time, so I didn't stop a lot to do the videoing. But the sky spraying was horrendous. And when I did get to Asheville and turned in the car, I took a couple of videos on Sunday, yesterday, of how the sky spraying was here. So take this trip with me. See where I'm at the train station. I took a couple pictures. Took a picture of the train. I took a video of the sky spraying as the train went down the tracks towards St. Louis from Kansas City. Look at the buildings. Look at the houses. I took some pictures of the train station, the Union Station in St. Louis. Very Masonic. Lots of Masonic symbolism everywhere. Very important. And then I took some videos when I got back home here in Asheville to end this video. But take this trip. See what I saw. Make up your own mind. America here in Kansas City. Heading to St. Louis. Noticing the tons of stuff sprayed in the sky, Kansas City. March 2016. I'm on the Amtrak train. Tons of sky spraying material. Hopkinsville, Kentucky. On my way back to North Carolina from Kansas City. And monitoring the sky spraying along the way. Right on the other side of this pole here. There's a whole bunch of spraying right there. And here, and here, and here, and here, and here. Across the country. We're being sprayed like we're bugs. So here I am about 6:30 in the morning, Sunday, the 6th of March. The whole country's being sprayed. We're being sprayed like we're bugs. Why? There's the markers where I am. West 24, East 24. Rick Miracle reporting. March 6th, 2016, about 5 p.m. I returned to my place, Rick Miracle, here in the mountains of North Carolina, after my road trip to Kansas City. Drove all the way with a U-Haul trailer and a Cherokee Jeep, Grand Cherokee, from Asheville to Knoxville to Nashville, up through Illinois, Fort Campbell, St. Louis, and Kansas City. Paying attention to the sky spraying, and I gotta tell you, on my way back today, Sunday, from Fort Campbell, Kentucky, the sky spraying was off the chart, like you see here in the mountains of North Carolina right now. It was an incredible thing to see. So much powder and chemicals in the sky for hundreds and hundreds of miles, covering Knoxville, Nashville, Kentucky, and North Carolina. And in my video, saw a lot of sky spraying between Kansas City and St. Louis on the Amtrak train. So they are spraying the whole nation, in my opinion. This is insane. Rick Miracle reporting. March 6th, 2016, Sunday. A little after 5. I left North Carolina on Friday. Drove to Kansas City, Missouri. Arrived on Saturday. And left Saturday night. And got back here in North Carolina on Sunday. It's a little after 5. And I documented the trip. And as I arrived back in North Carolina, Asheville, the sky spraying is quite visible. And I believe I have just videoed and shown in this video evidence that there's sky spraying across the nation, and some other interesting observations I made. Looks like a lot of dilapidation, a lot of property unattended, economic chaos and destruction on residential property, commercial properties. And sky spraying going on just makes one wonder, what the heck is going on planet Earth these days? Rick Miracle reporting. March 6th, Sunday, about 5:30. For all the non-believers, explain it to me. What is this? Sunday, United States of America is occupied by the sky sprayers, the dispensers of chemicals into our atmosphere. Obviously infiltrating our lungs, our water, our food, everything. And of course the million-dollar question is, why are they doing it? We don't know because they don't tell us. And as evidenced by this video and my trip this weekend, leaving here, Asheville, North Carolina in the mountains, off to Kansas City to take some friends of mine who moved there, elderly people, their vehicle and a U-Haul trailer full of their furniture and belongings. I delivered it. I jumped on an Amtrak, went back to St. Louis from Kansas City, rented a car, drove down through Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and back here to North Carolina. Meanwhile, observing and documenting the sky spraying, which was horrific. All the way from Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and approaching Nashville, all the way through Tennessee, Knoxville, and right up until I got to Asheville, as we can see now that I'm home. Crazy? Yes, but also true. Seeing is believing. Rick Miracle reporting.